Canadiens prospect depth sends Norlinder to Europe. Hello fan, how are you? Today I bring you exclusive information. Stay until the end so you don't miss any details and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date. This leads to a constantly shifting depth chart, and one that provides a small window of opportunity for those prospects to find themselves in the middle of the pack when it comes to the Habs list. One of those prospects is 2019 third-round pick Mattias Norlinder. Drafted as a 19-year-old overager in 2019, Norlinder was immediately hailed as a potential NHL defender. At the time, the Canadiens' prospect pool was thin. The 2019-20 season saw him return to Sweden. Meanwhile, the depth chart on left defense had names such as Jacob Legerier, Otto Leskinen, and Xavier Ouellet. There were far fewer up-and-coming defenders then, so he was immediately high on the list. Because of this, he received immediate attention. His style of game was also in scarce supply at the time, as a mobile puck-moving defenseman. His ability to skate the puck up ice smoothly and quickly, or make an accurate pass through traffic was also in short supply in the system back then. His ability to transition the play under control out of his zone, or into the offensive zone, is the style that is highly sought after in the modern NHL. When he was on the larger ice surfaces, his game, built on good vision and hockey IQ, worked fantastically. His skating was dynamic, with excellent edge work and an ability to change direction at top speed, which made him look like a potential middle-of-the-lineup offensive weapon. However, once he arrived in North America, the weaknesses in his game were highlighted, and in some ways also amplified. His gap control, especially in his own zone, never adjusted to the new rink size. Despite his evident hockey IQ, he never adjusted to the increase in the pace of play brought on by the lack of space. He was unable to make decisions quickly enough, which forced him to second-guess himself and play with very little confidence. That delay in decision-making made his defensive play in the American Hockey League, AHL, a problem, which as a defenseman is a concern. Because of this, combined with injuries and lost time from returning to Sweden, he lost his role with the Laval Rocket. Add in the plethora of defense that was drafted in the 2020, 2021, and 2022 draft classes, and it's no surprise to see him slide down the depth chart as several of those picks, such as Caden Gull, Lane Hutson, and even undrafted players like Arber Shrekjoker have provided performances that display positive growth in their development. According to Grant McCagg, a well-connected former Canadian scout, Norlinder has played in a Swedish Hockey League, SHL, exhibition game, and that indicates he won't return. With the return of AHL veteran defenders Jaden Struble, Toby Bisson, and Nicholas Bowden, along with a possible addition of one of the several rookie defensemen on the Canadiens roster, it shows why he would go back to Sweden, as he is being pushed out of any significant role he once held on the AHL roster, and has very little hope of getting a legitimate NHL opportunity in Montreal. This simply adds Norlinder to a list of prospects who have gotten passed over by other prospects. This is something that happens to players in every NHL organization. It's not a failure on the team or the player's part. It simply demonstrates the fact the Habs prospect pool has improved dramatically in a short span of only 3 years. Even with his 6'1", 194-pound frame, he struggles to play a physical style. It is hard to ignore his defensive struggles. If he were a winger, it would be easier, but for a defenseman, it is a massive red flag. These two issues alone would make it hard for him to become a top-4 defenseman in the NHL. With the abundance of skilled left-shot defensemen, who can play a physical style, are highly mobile, and can provide offense, it makes Norlinder expendable. If no NHL team is willing to trade for him, Hughes is better served to allow his contract to just come to an end, or even place him through waivers to terminate his contract and allow him to find opportunities elsewhere. A few seasons ago, losing Norlinder would have been a much more difficult situation to endure, but things have changed because the Canadiens' prospect pool has provided several better NHL options. So fan, what do you think of this news? Do you agree or disagree? Share your opinion in the comments. Stay tuned because I'll be back at any moment with more news.